Everyone remembers MASH, All in the Family, and Happy Days, because these were some of the most beloved TV shows of the 1970s, and probably of all time. And so a kind of fog of misconceptions settles on our mind, where we think that every show from the 1970s must have been amazing, simply because no one talks about the terrible ones anymore. But believe me, my friends, boy were there some terrible ones.
You know, Pitts, we have an old saying in the dental business. A tooth for a tooth.
Welcome, I am Nostalgic Nick with Do You Remember? And today we're going to be taking a look at 10 of the most hated TV shows from the 1970s. From attempted child star comebacks to massive modes of transportation, these shows had it all. Just kidding, they barely had anything at all.
I'm not so sure about that, Lieutenant.
If you enjoy our lineup tonight, please hit that thumbs up icon to show your support, and subscribe to our channel so you never miss one of our new videos. But now, settle in and get comfy as we smash this low-hanging fruit. Me and the Chimp. There are always steep valleys on the path up to Stardom Mountain. Sylvester Stallone had the Italian Stallion, Jennifer Aniston starred in Leprechaun, and Gary Marshall and Thomas Miller, the creators of such revered shows as Happy Days and Laverne and Shirley, well, they had their first attempt at TV, Me and the Chimp, telling the story of dentist Mike Reynolds, his family, and of course the washed-up NASA chimpanzee Buttons. This, of course, short-lived CBS sitcom from 1972 failed to capture audiences' imaginations the way the duo's later work would do.
Well, Buttons, you've just witnessed an American tragedy.
Maybe because the combination of dentistry and great apes just wasn't that relatable to most of the country. Or maybe because the premise is completely dumb. I don't know. If you watched it, let us know. Super Train. Alright, picture this. Two drunk TV executives. Let's make a show about a train. Not gonna work. Let's make it big. Not good enough. And really fast. It still needs something. How about we make it super? Bing, bang, boom, we're gonna be rich. I just think this must have been how 1979's Super Train was conceived, because there's no other explanation for a TV show about a luxury nuclear-powered train that could, as ads proudly proclaimed, make it from New York to LA in an astounding 36 hours, which makes the top speed of that Super Train a little under 78 miles per hour. For context, that is slower than Amtrak. Just incredible.
The historic inaugural run of Super Train.
But despite this scintillating foundation, Super Train focused too much on its eponymous character and too little on human interactions, and the audiences hated it. Don't worry, at least it only cost $3.5 million in today's money to make that Super Train. Dusty's Trail. When Gilligan's Island ended in the late 60s, it left a void both on the TV screen, in people's hearts, and in greedy executives' pocketbooks. But don't worry, 1973's Dusty's Trail was an attempt to fix one and a half of those problems. Because let me run down the plot for you and see if any of this sounds familiar. A small, highly diverse set of 7 travelers get lost and are forced to survive separated from society, while hijinks ensue all the while.
Well, if you just look a little tougher, you know. Like you mean business.
Just instead of lost at sea, these people lose their wagon train out west. And the kicker is, they even cast Gilligan himself, Bob Denver, as the assistant to the wagon master, aka the skipper. Duh. Of course, audiences weren't fooled, and the show was gone after less than a year. The Brady Bunch Hour. Speaking of heartless cash grabs, let's move on to the Brady Bunch Hour, an hour-long variety show premiering in 1976. The show attempted to capture its namesake's lighthearted and whitewashed take on American family life that audiences absolutely adored. However, they did it with a cast that was A, not trained in song and dance, and B, with the bizarre exception of Richard Reed, who normally abhorred anything Brady-related and refused to participate, because he realized how awful the show was and didn't really want to be there. The first episode garnered very high ratings, as nostalgia is a very powerful force. But after that, the Brady Bunch hour just fell off a cliff, and was mercifully killed off after only 8 shows, paving the way for Nostalgic Nick's new daytime talk show, The Brady Lunch Hour, coming soon. 3's A Crowd. There are some ideas so bad that in retrospect it seems amazing that they were ever allowed on TV in the first place. And as evidence, I give you the 1979 game show 3's a Crowd, not to be confused with the short-lived 80s spin-off of Three's Company. The game show, and yes, this is real, consisted of men answering 3 pointed questions, usually referencing their wives and secretaries in ways that would lead them to potential marital discord.
And Bill said, your thighs. Yes, that's a match.
The wives and secretaries would then come in and answer the same questions to see who knew the husbands more. The winner would get $1,000, and the loser, I assume, would file for divorce. Needless to say, this heinous assault on all things good and decent did not last that long. Although, hey, it might be time for a reboot. Hee Haw Honeys. Alright, Hee Haw was a long-running variety show that celebrated country music and all things rural. It aired from 1969 to 1992. The show was a combination of music, skits, and ubiquitously beautiful women. And hey, Hee Haw was a hoot and a holler of a good time. But apparently those beautiful women was the only thing TV executives could think of when they approved 1979's short-lived travesty Hee Haw Honeys, which stripped its namesake of everything good and left it with big hair and low-cut tops. Which isn't bad in and of itself, but devoid of anything deeper, spelled flop in capital neon letters. And the show was gone after less than a year, lost in the cornfield. David Cassidy, Man Undercover. Now, I'm not saying it's necessarily a bad thing for a former child star to try and jumpstart their career on the small screen. I mean, look at Spin City and Arrested Development. They did wonders for Michael J. Fox and Jason Bateman, respectively. But David Cassidy is neither of those two acting treasures. And David Cassidy, Man Undercover, was dead on arrival, starring the Mr. Cassidy as an undercover cop who infiltrates the standard cliches like high school drug rings.
But the local police and I are gonna have a quick little conference about you and your baby making friends. You understand?
I'll do what I can do.
The show was just boring as all get out, and relied overmuch on its former prodigy's name recognition to do its heavy lifting. Well yeah, then you have a massive problem undercover. Mr. T and Tina. Okay, I'll admit it. At first, the premise of Mr. T and Tina sounds promising. A spin-off of the massively popular Welcome Back, Kotter that starred the wonderful Pat Moriarty and had one of the first predominantly Asian casts in primetime history. So far so good, but it did not go well. Instead of a nuanced look into an underrepresented demographic in America, the producers of Mr. T and Tina leaned hard into stereotypes and blatant racism. Like, really hard.
I don't care about the body temperature of governess.
Like, so bad, even people back in the 1970s were like, hey, that's not okay. And the critics pulled no punches, with one stating that the next time he watched it, he would have to be bound and gagged. And another likened it to a CIA torture program. Ouch. Definitely wax off. Holmes and Yoyo. There is a long and storied history of fantastic TV adaptations of Sherlock Holmes. From Psych to House, Monk to Sherlock. Different writers and networks have successfully adapted Arthur Conan Doyle's masterpiece. However, 1976's Holmes and Yoyo need not be included on that list, and that's why they are on this list. The writers thought that they were being edgy by making Holmes be a bumbling idiot, and his sidekick, well, that was secretly a new super crime-fighting android, the genius who solves the crimes.
What's that? Oh, it's a magnet. I just
picked up?
Well, a combination of poorly conceived Three Stooges-esque gags and very poor writing meant that the show never moved past its very dumb premise, and it barely lasted 13 episodes. Whew, wow, there they are. 10 of the most hated 1970s TV shows. Alright, this is my favorite part. I want to know, were you unfortunate enough to catch any of these short-lived travesties on air live? Do you have oddly specific enough taste to have actually liked any of them? And did we miss any 1970s TV travesties? Well, please get in the comments and tell us your thoughts. Adam will make a round too. If you enjoyed our video today, hit that thumbs up icon, it really helps. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you never miss one of our new deep dives. But most importantly, from all of us here at Do You Remember, I want to thank you very much for watching.